welcome to the Beauties and Beasties podcast with Alex and Sean.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm good, young man. How the devil are you?
I'm good. I think I mentioned before, I'm itchy all over. Got myself some new ink, which is always fun. It's just the healing up, which is awkward. It's just very, very itchy. But there we go. Other than that, have you had a good, busy, productive week doing lots of fun things?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've had some interesting. We've had a couple of honeybee jobs drop in for being completed. One's getting done Saturday, one's getting done Wednesday. That's good. We've had another one for a listed building drop in, which is real nice. We like them. There's a fair bit of work to be done on that before that'll get done, but they're the proper challenging ones. We had a couple of drain surveys, one where I can't find the entry point, and it's absolutely driving me doolally, like driving away with anxiety because you feel like you're letting them down. I don't know what we're going to do with that, but we're going to have to do something. And then another one where we had a lovely find on the downstream from the manhole, which they nearly always run. We know these houses impeccably well, and every downstream line runs straight out and into the back lane. And on this one, like 99 times out of 100, you just wouldn't do them. We've done this one. It went 12 inches, done a 90-degree kick, and went straight under the extension. And there's a break in it, but it's actually under a set of concrete stairs.
I was chatting to someone down the week, someone else actually on one of my courses, and it's interesting to say underneath concrete stairs and underneath the rest of it, because it does bring up, and we kind of have mentioned this with Davey and also with John, but it does beg the question that more and more people doing drain surveys and the more and more people doing drain repairs. But there's a real need, I think, in the industry to sort of like take a step back, so to speak. Because just digging up someone's house or digging a trench next to someone's house, although it seems like a good plan, is absolutely fraught with danger, isn't it? Because unless you have an idea of what the structural integrity of that person's house is, you could be doing a lot more damage than you are solving with, dealing with those rats in some occasions. And I've seen some pictures going up online, not just on the forums, but just generally, where people are taking big chunks out of the concrete foundations of people's houses right next to that central sort of like spine wall where a lot of the load bearing of the house sits. And you sit there and you think, that can't be good. That can't be good for the house.
We look. So we have a builder who works for us, always has done, who is incredibly good. And some of the things. So we never plan the building work. I'll tell him what's going on and what we need to be done. He'll look at it and then he'll come back with what we need to do in order to achieve that safely, as a general rule. But you're absolutely right. It's not just that. You've got gas mains which are mold. So when the mole of gas main, what they basically do is they have a machine which punches a hole straight through the ground. So they don't dig a trench and put it in. It just goes straight through. You sometimes see them in where they've hit a 4-inch pipe, and they'll just go straight through a vitrified clear pipe. So you'll be doing your survey, you push along, and he has a yellow pipe sitting in it. Like you hit that with a sharp spade.
Oh yeah, that's going to be exciting, shall we say, to say the very least. That will make you jump. But I and again, we spoke about it with the bee removals. A lot of it, we're getting a lot more involved in the pest management side of things. Fixing root causes, finding solutions to the problems at source. But it is bringing us into other people's realms of expertise here, and I think we do need to understand our limitations, some to speak. But with that, there's nothing stopping us from still working on these projects.
Before you move on, here's an interesting thing.
Yeah,
as an industry, we hate landscape gardeners and window cleaners and anybody believing that they can be a pest controller. Fucking hell, fucking window cleaner, fucking gardeners at it now. How many businesses do you know that are pest controllers who do something else, whether it's cleaning, some sort of building work, whatever it is, and we're like, no, we're fine. We know what we're doing. We're pest controllers.
I would love to just be a fly on the wall in some of these, because of course we have board meetings for all of these, board meeting the BPCA and MPTA and your crew and basis and the rest of it, and we're all sit there and you all sort of grumble, the bloody window cleaners. Oh, I'd love to. There's got to be sort of like a window cleaners council somewhere, and they've got to be like, God damn pesties, There's,
Yeah,
there's
yeah. No, yeah. You can imagine,
same
can't you?
grumble about
Look,
us.
mate, like when you look at some of the proofing work that's done, and they're like, no,
Mm.
that's fine. That's fine. And you're like, probably not. It's probably not. But anyways, that's by the by. We just have to look after ourselves, don't we? But this is one of the reasons why I never slag window cleaners or landscape gardeners or anybody who's going to give it a go. Drainage guys who want to come into our industry the same way we've went into theirs. We need to support them. We do need to support them, not vilify them. But that's my thoughts on it.
I mean, two stories here. One was quite funny. So one of my consultant friends, she ran a course for doing wasps, and almost everyone that turned up on that course, not a single sort of person that turned up on this practical wasp control course was actually a pestie. They were all window cleaners and ground maintenance guys. And there was an absolute uproar at the time, an absolute uproar as to sort of like this. And then the question was asked, how many pest managers have actually gone out there and done formal training on how to do a wasp nest? Or is it just assumed that you did your first 3 or 4 and royally cocked them up and learned from your mistakes and carried on going on from there? What's the other one? I did a safe use rodenticides last year, and there was 2 grounds maintenance guys on there who were very clear that they were doing it as ground maintenance guys. And the rest of the up and coming pesties were like, oh, boo, here's. And I was like, no, you're basically pesties now. This is it. You're joining the fraternity. You're joining the group. So it's a bit funny, isn't it? Especially when it comes to the training and people joining our industry. Are they joining us, or are they stealing it? Where do you go with that? So yeah,
I agree.
But there we go. Right. So with that, talking of training, talking of selling things, talking of all things that way related, shall we bring our BPCA? Sorry, for those listening back, Neil Bond has just dropped an absolute corker there. He says the BPCA should run a window cleaning course, and why not? That would work so well. I'd really enjoy that. So, but no. Away from that, let's ask our guest what her thoughts on this would be. Who's our guest today, Sean?
We have the lovely Anna Mollins from Pestfix. Come on down, Anna Mollins. It's like The Price is Right, this. Although it's Alex who looks like Brute Forsyth, not me.
Which bit of me precisely looks like Bruce Forsyth? I mean, there we go. Hi, Anna. How are you doing? Welcome to Beauties and Beasties.
Howdy.
How you doing? So yes, we of course know you as the strategic business executive from Pestfix. But for those who don't know you, who the devil is Anna? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit or a lot? I know I can ramble on, so tell me to shut up if it's too much.
There'll be a hand signal.
So I mean, officially I'm the strategic business executive. It's kind of a catch-all title for Pestfix, partly because I've been in the business for now coming up to 9 years, when it was just 2 directors and a warehouse guy, and me. And since then, I've been growing and growing, and I've kind of had my hand in every part of Pestfix, and I still do. So it's I very much have a catch-all title. So I hate saying it because it's a mouthful. It really is, particularly when I'm filling in forms. But official title. But if I'm not
Anna Mollins, SBE. That's what you need to do. Just refer to yourself as SBE. Yeah.
That's verging on the OBE sort of side, isn't it? So maybe I could get away with that.
Just slur it out a little bit. SBE. Oh, really? Yes. That's all good. Well, before we talk a bit more about Pestfix, and of course, Pestfix is as you say, it's a company that's been around for a lot longer than people, I think, probably anticipate. But a little bit about yourself. How did you find yourself coming into pest management? Because I'm right in assuming, and not to throw you under the bus here, you have a background not in pest management, but you have a degree in conservation, don't you?
Yeah, ecology and conservation. So was it nearly 20 years ago now, I think. You're coming up to that. Yeah, I was in Sussex University, so not far from where we are now, and near Brighton. And yeah, I did an ecology and conservation degree. I came out of that. Sadly to say, I was with my childhood sweetheart. We knew each other since college. We went to universities that were over dual carriageway from each other. He was in architectural technology, so he did an extended long degree, and I actually didn't carry on with my ecology and conservation plans, partly because you need a lot of voluntary work to then get certain things like special species licenses. And in Brighton, post university, I can't afford to do voluntary work. So I ended up kind of hopping from job to job whilst my husband finished his degree. And I somehow kind of fell into Pestfix. It was one of those things. I mean, I went from doing my degree to then going into pharmacy. I was in pharmacy for quite a long time, to a point where people still constantly message me about what can I take that's going to do a decent job at making me feel better, and all sorts of random queries like that. So it's quite funny. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else finds it. You always get those randoms. You don't really know them very well anymore, like old high school friends or something. And they, oh, I just wanted to message you about pest control. I get that with pharmacy as well. And I ended up sort of, the reason I ended up in Pestfix was because I was moving home and I was coming back to my childhood home. I live now in my grandmother's home. We bought it off our parents, and yeah, I needed a job that was closer, and I liked the idea of going into something which was related in a roundabout way. Pest management does involve a lot of obviously ecology, but you're dealing with species that aren't, they're commensals, aren't they, primarily, and they're not part of the natural ecosystem in terms of infestation. So yeah, I ended up just sort of grabbing a job, and like I think with a lot of people, you kind of go into pest control and seem to somehow stay. And I hope to say everyone enjoys it, but I certainly do. So yeah, I'm still here.
You're either in it for 6 months or for life. There's no in betweens. You either decide halfway through your first season that this is nonsense, I'm never playing this game again, I'm off. Winter was rubbish, this is awful, summer doesn't make up for it. But it's interesting you said you came into this from conservation, because we were talking to Mary last week, who is conservationist. She's a bat ecologist and all of these other things.
That was what I wanted to be. I was so looking into. I've got my my ultrasonic devices up in my loft still. I go out for bat walks, just listening. But yeah, sorry, interrupting you there.
Oh, that's no, interrupt away. It's absolutely fine. But she said exactly the same thing along the lines of you need to do a lot of volunteer time. There's it's a big mountain to climb before you find your first, real plateau to find your own feet with it. So I'm not at all surprised. But no, that's quite a sweet story. I mean, how long were you a pharmacist for then? I mean, why pharmacy?
Not pharmacist, although I will definitely be pushing my children into that career path, because the hours are fantastic, the money is fantastic, and that's when you're not working as a locum. I mean, if you've got children, seriously, direct them towards pharmacy, because yeah, it's a great career. I was
should be directing them towards pest management.
Oh, don't worry, I'm doing that anyway. I mean, me and my kids are constantly outside with the bugs and bees and everything else. So they're constantly telling their friends, I think with everyone else's children, that how wasps aren't actually that bad and all this other jazz. So I was in pharmacy for about, I started that really basic, but ended up becoming a dispensary assistant, or pharmacist assistant. It's like the one down from being a pharmacist, for 6 years, I think. And then
Okay.
I ended up, even weirdly, I got headhunted by somebody and ended up in a commercial high-end staircase manufacturing company. Again, completely unrelated. It was near Brighton, but it was very eccentric, lots of high-end London clients.
What makes a staircase high end? Just
the ones that you look at and think, those are really easy, aren't they? And they're not. The engineering behind them to make something look very slick and very smart. And also, they're in London. Pretty much it, really. every second unique. Everyone was taught engineers. The carpentry that went into it. It was very involved, but very interesting.
I'm always amazed. I don't know. And Sean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But every time I'm driving down the road, and a lot of other pests, you're probably doing the same because we spend a lot of time on the road, and you see another van going past, not from pest management, but it's another liveried van. And I drove past one today, and it was for pond sealant, and it had all of the different types of pond sealer, pictures of them all over the van. And a thought struck me, which is there is an entire industry out there of people who are as passionate about pond sealants as we are about pests. And there is a range of consultants out there, people like me, who will go off and they'll turn up with a suit and a tie and a jacket, and they will tell somebody the best pond sealant to use. And people will nod and be like, oh, thank you so much for that information. Here is money for teaching me about pond sealant. And it's a really, I don't know, it was just a very weird thought that there is all of these, that we letterbox our worldview, don't we? But there is all these other industries out there where people are equally passionate about weird things, and there's technical people who are having arguments right now. There are podcasts out there right now about people arguing about the volatility or the stickability or the weatherproofing of pond sealant, and there will be somewhere in the world right now that argument happening, and that boggles my brain, I have to say. No,
I think
just me.
I think it just comes down to value. That's all I think it comes down to. So and I think this is a good thing for people to think about. I'm not saying I'm right on it, but it's definitely something to think about. The reason why there is someone who is massively into pond sealant is because that pond is important to them, because it has 100 grand's worth of koi carp in it, or the value of their garden, or whatever it is. So people are never I don't think I'm particularly passionate about killing rats, but I know a lot about rats because people want rid of them. So the pond sealant, whatever it is, when you find you have to find that niche, and that's of course why we livery everything up, isn't it? Why we put lots and lots of things on it, because we try to show them that we are the people that will give them the value that they want at the cost that they are willing to pay. It's never the cost that they are happy to pay, the cost that they're willing to pay. But I had this conversation today about my software. People were saying that there's a little thing going on at the minute. Should all of your accreditations be totally at the end of the article or at the bottom of every page? Thoughts?
I'll let Anna weigh in first here, because actually I have thoughts on this. And yeah, go on, Anna. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, technically, I don't have many accreditations myself. Everything I do is quite self-taught, and based in my role as well. So in terms of the pest side of it, if I wanted to go out, I'll obviously have all the wonderful, wonderful names and lines against that. But in terms of anything else, I don't have them because I've done a lot of work internally. But I agree with the value point. There is very much and it's not necessarily monetary value. It is meaningful value to somebody, and particularly the pest industry. It can be distressing. So that is kind of exacerbated by more emotion. So, and I think it's also important to kind of absorb that and think with that sort of mentality, like, okay, and that's how you should talk to your clients and customers as well. Like, okay, how much does this mean to you? We're thinking about what this is about and what is the alternative here, and how much is that an importance in your life. So.
Yeah.
Someone once said to me, you are never, ever, ever paid to get rid of rats. When you're a pest controller, you're never paid to get rid of rats. You're paid to stop the kids getting poorly. You're paid to stop leaks in the roof. You're paid to stop feeling dirty. You're paid to keep their confidentiality. You're paid to make sure that something doesn't get poisoned that shouldn't. If it was a case of just putting poison down and killing rats, we would be worth 10 pence.
So,
but we're not.
Yeah, so I recently wrote an article for Pest where I think I touched on this, and it's called value creation. With this, you're creating value, and value doesn't necessarily, it's not synonymous. Value is not just money. People, we want money as pest controllers for our industry, but the value that we create, value created, is exactly as you say. The value created is not simply just getting rid of rats. It is making people's homes feel secure. It's making people not feel dirty. It's protecting public health. It's conservation, all this. And actually, Anna, I saw that a little while after that you put out a post on socials as well, and you captioned it so much better. There's a list of about 20 things that you put on there, wasn't there? And what were some of those? These are the reasons that people call pest control, and it wasn't just to get rid of rats. It was, what were some of the things on that? It was a huge long list, and it made so
Yeah,
much
so
sense.
that was one of my Monday Mythbusters. So it's
Mm,
my posts on a Monday, but I have been. I think if we're ending it, come to the end of it for a bit. But that was about pest controllers are too expensive or are so expensive, or it was something along that lines. And it was kind of thing that we're busting this myth as to you're not paying, this is like Sean was saying, you're not paying for someone to come and just kill something. You're paying for, and you should value yourselves as pest controllers. And that is something I'm constantly trying to get across. Value yourself because of the amount of knowledge you have and experience, and there's so much, all those. I need to get the post back up, to be honest, but it's something that I'm constantly trying to educate both the public, and I know we get a lot of calls from the public looking for advice and almost kind of trying to find a way of doing it themselves. And it's
mm,
when all of our team will talk to these customers and say, look, you can try, but a pest controller is there and they have the experience, they have they're looking at the environmental factors, they're looking at the biology and the morphology and the behavior of the particular insect or animal you're kind of trying to deal with. And have you thought about the knock-ons and all this? I think everyone, you don't necessarily think about it. A lot of pesties come to me and they don't suddenly, oh, actually, saying that, I actually do quite a lot. I'm quite skilled in this, and nobody knows this and nobody knows that. And there's also this kind of uh, I want to lock away my secrets, I think, in pest control as well, where people don't want to put the advice out first. And because they're not doing that, the public don't know any better. So in the way you talk to your customers and value yourself and explain why you value yourself, I think that
mm.
is a really important part of pest control. And it's so how to make your personally, I think that's a great way of both educating the public, but also improving your own business and kind of getting more from your clients. And then they also see the value in what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, absolutely. And there's, knowledge, you can look at knowledge in two ways, can't you? You can use it as a hook to generate value, or people sort of like jealously guard it to try and one up it. But what one of the things here, and I saw a couple of posts online over the week. Someone was saying, are you seeing an increase in people asking for free advice? So people just phoning you up as a pest manager or even as Pestfix and saying, hey, I've got this problem, and they've got no intention of actually buying your service because they want you to divulge the industry secrets, because they want to, they want to be able to give it a go first. So just a quick question for the people listening: are we getting more and we always have these, and we always have had these calls, and Sean classically has told me that he can get someone off the phone in less than 30 seconds,
You know
which I
why
think
it's less than 30 seconds?
well, go on, tell us.
So Google Guarantee is it's a thing that they run. So if you're a local business, you can advertise within your locality. Google will guarantee your work to a value of £1,000. You have to show accreditation and insurance and all this sort of jazz. But you do not pay for clicks. You pay for them to contact you, and you pay £5 if they get in touch with you. But they have to speak to you for more than 30 seconds.
Okay.
So if you are not a real customer and I can get you off the phone in less than 30 seconds, then it doesn't cost us. So when you pick up the phone, and it says you have a call from Google, and then the person will speak to you, and right, okay, so I'm off, and it's dead easy. It's really, 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 really fucking easy. They say to you, "Hi there," and you go, "Caroline Pest Control. What pest can I help you with today?" Because you get right to the meat of it, and they'll say, I've got a rat problem, and you go, yeah, we can absolutely help you with that. It costs £252. I can get a trained technician to you within 24 48 hours, whatever it is, and that'll cover you for 3 visits. The 3 visits will be 7 to 14 days depending on what we see. And if they are not going to buy on value of price, they'll go, I was just ringing for quotes, I'll ring back later. Okay, bye. And it takes about 26 seconds for that to happen, if you're good.
And that's how we work the Google guarantee.
Yeah.
There we go. Everyone has Everyone has their own style. I, on the other hand, just like a gab. So I'd be terrible at that. I would just be chatting along. Vicky's asked a question. What's that say, Sean?
Can I do my own social media post, Anna, on that valid point of what we are actually doing when they call a pest controller?
A lot of the posts that we put out as Pestfix, primarily me putting them out as Pestfix, they are there for you to utilize. So if you see anything in those posts, you are more than welcome to share, use, take the partial content. Some images you might have to just check for copyright first, but yeah, the Monday Mythbusters was aimed. Obviously, we don't actually talk to a huge amount of the public. We're generally talking to you guys in terms of the trade, but it is there, and I'm trying to make social media content for you guys to use because you guys are busy. So I kind of be putting these things out. So that's the point of my Monday Mythbusters. So in answer, Vicky, just use my post as you wish, and chop and change and make it your style. Because if you can show value, then and it just it does a lot. And this whole 30 seconds the Google guarantee thing, I personally have found that people, if you talk well in terms of your advice and knowledge before giving away do this, do that, people will either then they understand your value first and then go, okay, maybe I should think about spending more money. But I can see why the Google way of chopping them off before you have them.
Honestly, Anna, it's weird. I answer the phone that much. Like within a second of them speaking to us, I know if they're a genuine customer. I know.
True.
If they're screaming, "I'm covered in bees," then you know that they're going to have a problem with bees. So
right. I don't want to sound like a scumbag, but like when you answer the phone, they go, I'm just ringing for a price. You're like, oh, you're off the phone in less than 30 seconds. When you answer the phone and they go, hello there, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm like, oh yeah, you're worth £5. We'll speak to you, and then they'll get it. But there's an art to it for definite, and I can tell within seconds whether someone's a genuine customer or not. And the times when I've thought the word and I've given them a bit of time and it's cost a £5, invariably they go, it's all right, I'll bring you back later. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, it cost me £5 to speak to you, you scumbag.
This is why I think having more openness and public information, so people knowing how much pest control costs and what is involved in it, and that's what I try and do a lot, is really trying to engage and encourage people to kind of explain pest control, because I think a lot of it comes from the public knows stereotypes, and there's like this whole letterbox idea of our industry. We all know how good we are to a certain extent, and we know what we do in terms of our skills, but the public just don't have a clue. And it's unfortunately the internet and the home hacks and everything else that's easy clickbait. It just steers it even worse. So we need to put more out there and make more noise. Which is why I personally I hate doing talks and I hate doing all of this stuff, but I'm doing it for the industry I hate you guys. But all the public, like being on the TV with the BPCA recently, and I'm so glad that they didn't chop and edit, which I was so nervous about, because media portrayal, sometimes they can really just take what they want and display you how they like. But the kind of the public information point of it, I think people need to know about pest control as an industry, not as a poison on rats stereotype.
It is. It's quite. I mean, it's interesting you guys say this, because it's the same principle, isn't it, of a when you put out a job advert. And I've seen this a lot with job adverts where people I can't find anyone to work for my pest management company, and actually if you have a look at the job adverts, it starts off with, you need to be able to do this, you need to be able to do this, you need to be able to do this, and then at the end of the page it says, and this is what we will give you, this is what it's worth to you. Whereas exactly what you're saying there, Sean, is you're starting there, you're turning it on its head. Right, this is what's going to cost, and then if you agree to that, this is what I'm going to give you at the end of that. Instead of, this is all we can do, and this is how much it costs. Because by the time you've got to the cost, that's the bit that is going to tip them over. So start with that, start on that seesaw, and then you can focus on the ones that are going to invest.
Yeah. I tell you the other thing I love about job adverts, when you see them advertised and their benefits are the things they're entitled to. Or they're like,
You get a
you know what I mean?
pension.
Like, yeah, we're going to give you a work mobile phone for speaking to your customers, so you don't have to use your own mobile phone. We give you the holidays that you're entitled to. We give you work uniform and a work van, so you can turn up to our calls in your work van, and you're like, oh, fucking thank you. Fucking sign me up.
Yeah. We give you the national minimum number of holidays a year,
Yeah,
and sick pay is statutory. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Must be very self-motivated. Must be willing to work their own diary and da da da. And I'm like, fuck. Then they go, we just can't find anyone. No shit, Sherlock. Fucking no shit.
We'd like you to scrabble around in mud looking at rat shit, and what we will give you is a uniform.
Yeah, we will give
Hooray!
you everything that by law we have to give you. Do you know what I mean? Like by law we have to give you this. So we're going to tell you it's a company benefit. It's not a benefit. It's not a benefit, you know, bed. Yeah.
At the moment, sorry, and just circling back to a bit, Anna, have you seen recently that the RSPCA, bless them, has started to do? They've done a little range of things you can do to sort of like sort your pests out, and it is a lot of things like you should plant clover and mint around the outside of your house, and you're like, oh,
No,
why? I
it's
mean, it'll
just
smell nice, but it's just this perpetuation of this. I for years and years, this myth of mint will keep mice away. And this was fine up until the point that I got a call, and when I was still at Pelgar, to go and have a look at a farmer who was having a huge issue with mice. And I got the address and I turned up there, and I shit you not, it was a mint farm, literally rows and rows and rows
mint
of
farm.
polytunnels of mint, and he had just an infestation of mice. And I was like, well, that's put that myth to bed for me. I mean, there we go. You could smell the place from like half a mile away. It was incredible.
I have had quite a few media contacts kind of just calling up like, well, we want some professional advice, from people who sell stuff, and you're like, okay, so I've heard this. Is this true? I'm like, no, that's circumstantial. Yeah, like the mint, and then using alternative odor-based things. It's like, well, I mean, it might overpower the smell of the fact that you've got a dirty home. That might, because it's kind of covering, not because you're trying to repel pests. It beggars belief, but it is clickbait, and it's something you have to kind of fight against. So the only way of doing so is by making as much noise as you can. But being that pesties and pest control is a distress sale, so you have people who come up and they want to find out. So if all they're finding out is the home hacks, and they don't then see local businesses doing odd little, this is why I'm very much an advocate for small social media posts from pesties. Not much, just once a week, just something just to kind of highlight that they exist, and just the odd little fact here and there kind of go, oh, okay. And then you are sort of trying to balance the scales a little bit more, so because the distress sale customer will be looking for something that's more reputable. But it's just balancing those scales, and it's working. You're kind of working against the tide when it comes to the internet. It really is.
We talk about distress sales, and Neil Bonds just made a point, and I'm gonna sort of like, I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit, because does Pestfix sell ultrasonic repellers?
Yes, we sell ultrasonic repellers, but we sell ultrasonic repellers, and on I want to say every product on the category of ultrasonic, we have a guidance advice about ultrasonic. And whenever anyone calls, I use analogies a lot, so it's always okay, it will work. Imagine if you are at a concert right now and you're right by the speakers. It's not kind of pleasant, is it? But if you're hungry and there's a sandwich next to it, you'll go grab it, sort of thing. It's one of those situations where it's like, it's not going to work. You can try.
They don't fucking work. They don't work. They don't work. I've never seen them work. I've never once, ever seen an ultrasonic repeller ever work, ever.
I've got some
I will
pictures.
say that the little ones don't. There are some, and I have seen them work, but only in very, very specific circumstances, and only when they've got insane numbers of speakers with the right amount of output pointing in every single direction. Because ultrasonic is very much, it's like
be honest, they're not true.
anything that hits. Okay, I'm gonna find my data. It was about 6 years ago, but I will find my data only because it was a success story.
I
But
only have to say I've got two things to weigh in on this. Number one, I've got some fantastic pictures of like where a mouse is sat on top of an ultrasonic repeller and literally crapped all over it. So number
well,
one,
that's
that
it.
ain't great.
It's like imagine a beam of light. It doesn't
Yeah,
go above, does it? It points, so it's only
exactly.
going to
Yeah.
be right there.
Well, and the other thing you've got to bear in mind as well is, so I liken ultrasonics and stuff like that to car alarm. If you hear a car alarm go off
Yeah.
outside, you will run to your window straight away and have a look and see what's going on. And if that car alarm goes off in another 15 minutes, half the people in the street might go and have a look. If it goes off again in another 15 minutes, maybe one or two people. If that car alarm goes off every 15 minutes all night, by the time Monday comes, like the morning comes around, nobody is playing a blind bit of difference to it. And it's the same thing with the ultrasonics. And
Hmm.
for the ultrasonic to have a physical repellent, as in to be physically painful to mice, it's going to have to be at a volume where it is physically painful to human beings. But only we can't hear it, so we'll get a screaming headache and don't know why.
Well, and this is
So
what I think is funny as well, with people saying, "Oh, I want ultrasonic because it's quiet and silent." I have good ears. I hear whenever we put a device goes on, we're testing anything, and I hear it from down. I'm like, I can hear that. So I'm like, it's not silent to a lot of people. And it's like they have they did like a thing about ultrasonics and teenagers, didn't they? In places where there were gatherings, so they tried to put ultrasonics out to kind of the younger ear or something.
yeah, it was the
I don't
mosquito
actually know whether
noise in shops, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. Oh god, yeah,
proper
ultrasonics are
moitering.
ridiculous, but it's again one of those situations where people will go and look for something, try it first, and then they'll realize it's not working and think, okay, this is starting to cost me. I'm going to have to then look for a professional. And it's the same with any form of DIY. It's a lot of like, there are people who go out and they get quoted by a car mechanic. Like, this is you need to replace this, and this is how I'll charge you for it. It's fine. I'll just go get the part of Euro car parts or whatever, and give it a go myself. It's same with cleaning or household repairs. People will try, and it's only when those ones fail that they then come to the professionals, tail between their legs most often, and kind of go,
But is
yeah.
it right? Is it right to take the money for a product that we don't believe in, knowing that
We
eventually it'll
don't
come?
sell any product that we haven't either tested or have customers
So you
responding to
believe in that?
first.
You personally believe in the ultrasonic repellers?
Again, it works in terms of keeping people happy. This is again not necessarily functioning to actually physically. If you explain and look at and they go through the instructions and they read it, then it is not it's not there to actually work as a pest removal. It is there as a comfort in terms of helping them to feel like they are doing something, if that
Have
makes
you
sense.
ever
I mean,
seen
even
that?
my in-laws don't even come to me first. They've gone out and bought pest repellers, and I've gone, why? Why have you done this? And what makes this feel better? Oh, fine. If you came to me
Has
first, I probably would have helped
anyone?
properly.
Yeah, has anyone seen that
Is that,
episode of The
hang on a
Simpsons? So,
second. Is that not the same as me going into someone's house and spraying water for parasitosis, knowing that it won't do anything, but convincing them that we are doing something and charging them for a
Well, but yeah,
treatment?
you're then giving them an option. You're telling them what is a scenario. If someone decides that they want something,
Yeah.
it's a little different for sure. But I know I agree with you. There are products that are out there, and there are some that we do sell, like things like those plastic owls. If and we we tell the people when we ring them up, and, oh, can we get a plastic owl? No. Well, if you have that and you move it multiple times a day, you will probably find it will have an impact. Partly because the owl might be looking like something that's slightly silhouetted, but probably because you are moving something regularly and the birds don't want to land there anymore because you keep moving around. But
sorry, can I cut you in there because
yeah,
I have a story about those plastic
oh,
owls, and
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a story that will make people laugh. This is a big part of my childhood, a very big part of my childhood with these plastic owls. When we used to drive down as a family to Devon, there was one of those plastic owls on top of a lamppost on it's the very last street before we got to where we're going. We went to the same little campsite every single year down in Devon, and there was a plastic owl on top of that. And now one year, my little brother Ben, from the back of the car, looked up at that plastic owl and said, Mum, Dad, brothers, that owl's head just moved. And of course, we looked at it and we were like, no, it didn't. That's the same plastic owl that has been there for years and years and years. And he was adamant. And we basically called him a liar for decades, and I mean years and years and years. And it was only when I think it was us down somewhere where one of these plastic owls was set at ground level and they're showing it off. And I realized that they actually have a head, and there's a little, on some of them, there's a little sail on the back that's meant to catch the wing.
Yeah, that.
So the head turns around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course,
they're like this. We only sell the ones with those twizzling heads because of the fact that
it might have been done.
Yeah.
Yes, it's right, and the heads move. And the thing is we, my entire family, for about 20 years, has called my brother a flat out liar for saying that his head moved, because it's obviously a fake owl. And he was like, it definitely moved. And we're like, you're definitely lying. And then I saw one of those, and it might have even been at the open day at Pestfix. And I was like, oh shit, I owe him such an apology, because this gets brought up every time anyone goes down to Devon. But
You've got to buy him a Christmas present.
oh,
of one of them.
I got to buy him an apology. I mean, it's so awful. But there we go. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because as you say, pest management, we like to think of it as a proactive industry. We like to think of pest management as prevention. But actually, a lot of society sees pest control as crisis, and it is a crisis industry. And actually, probably from your guys' point of view, being the distribution community, you see a lot more of the crisis aspect than we do as the potentially the preventative or the management aspect of it as well. And I do actually remember speaking to Dan England a long time ago, being one of the two England brothers, and he was adamant that it was, he was the first person I actually heard refer to pest management as a crisis industry. And it does make a lot of sense at the end of the day.
I say it's quite an interesting format to think of it in that route, and we do, because people are looking for alternative ways to deal with stuff. And part of the reason why we have things like these products, which people claim to work, it also is to kind of bring people into the industry. Kind of okay, you want to hear about plastic owls, you've heard about plastic owls, brought you in, but this is the actual true range of products and really professional things that professionals will be using to try and deal with situations. And we do get a lot of people who contact for, oh god, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, and they do a lot of googling, and they go, oh, I've heard this and I've heard that. And we always direct people to a professional wherever someone rings up. If they're right, have you got a professional in to do a survey? Do you know what's involved with regards to pest management? It's not just a case of chucking down poison or putting down an insect trap or something like that. There's a lot involved, and it's only by whenever we communicate, and the way that our team always talks to the customer, they obviously always listen, but it's information. And by imparting the information that we know that the professional pest industry does as part of their skill set, it's the realization that it becomes from a distress sale to a sort of, okay, I see now that I now need to kind of go down a certain route. And then the panic that comes from it suddenly drops out. And by that information, you can see just over one phone call that can last even for 5 minutes. It makes a huge change in terms of putting out information. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent now, I think, but
it's okay. You've had conversations with me before. Tangents are exactly where they, that's our wheelhouse, isn't it? Absolutely. But Sean, I see you've highlighted a comment here. So this is obviously something that you've been keen to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on. You can read that out. I'll read it out for you. It says, give us the lowdown on the fuss. I don't know what that means about Pestfix investors. Fuss.
The fuss. It'd be interesting to know what the fuss is, because being Pestfix directly, we hear only from those that then contact us. I would like to know, partly because obviously you can see on some social media posts as to the what's going on, and we say this and we say that. So if tell me what you think first. Well, not what you think first. What do you think is the fuss? What the rumors? I'll make a statement. Yeah, you want to tell you the truth about everything for Pestfix. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, see the what's the fuss? What's the fuss?
The rumor is that the same people who bought Virgo have bought Pestfix. The same investors who are like Trivago or whatever they're called. There's some name to them. And the worry, of course, is that now, if you use Pestfix, that your data is no longer safe because you are effectively supplying your competitors with your data. That's what the worry is.
That's sad. Okay, so Pestfix has been bought out by Tyro Group, who is owned by Novesta. Tyro Group also does own Virgo, but they own 39 other sort of companies across the UK and Switzerland and Norway and Sweden. Sorry, we are completely not affiliated with Virgo. They don't own us. We don't talk to their board. Our managing director
is that true? Is that true?
Honestly, swear, I'm a very honest person.
What's the name of the 3 directors of Virgo, and what's the name of the 3 directors of Pestfix?
I honestly couldn't. Well, for Pestfix, sorry, I don't know the answer to Virgo because I
think that 2 of the directors for Virgo are also the 2 directors for Pestfix. I think I might be wrong. Again,
you'd have to honestly look it up on Company's House or something because I couldn't answer that because our directors, we have the one managing director, which is Mr. Terry Burrows, has been the managing director for a while. Obviously, Dan and Matt England left quite recently based on this buyout. I mean, that's what they were setting. I think Pestfix
have they actually left, or are they on the way out? Because usually when these buyouts happen, it's a phased 1 payment, 2 payments, 3 payments over the course of 6 months to a year. Was it just a total buyout, just overnight? Here's a briefcase. I'll see you in the Maldives. Oh wow! Okay, that is
pretty much. Yeah.
Incredible.
So I mean, I know. See, I worked with Dan and Matt for a long time, and I know them very well. And it got to a point where they took a step back because they wanted Pestfix to grow, and they knew that in the roles that they had as directors that they needed to take a step back and allow it to grow. And then I believe they got in Terry Burrows for that particular reason because they wanted to grow Pestfix and they wanted to be directors and not part of the constant day-to-day running, which was great. It's what they wanted to do, and obviously as directors you can choose to do as you wish. And so that's kind of been the state of play for the last 3-4 years. And we were told we got brought into a board meeting and were told about the finalization of this buyout, and we're owned by Tyro Group, and nothing has changed. There is no change in terms of our relationship with any of our trade pesties. That includes Virgo. Virgo were a customer before. There may well be a customer continuing onwards. There is no special treatment between Pestfix and Virgo. Nobody gets anything special from us. It's still the same premise that if you are a trade pest controller, you get trade pest prices. It's the simple same ethos, and that's something I'm very proud that, and that's why I love this company. That when we were small, we are here for all pesties, whether you're a one-man band through to the big blue chips. And I know that nothing kind of coercive or there's no sort of underhand, on the table, hidden stuff going behind, because I'm the one who runs and manages our internal admin systems. I'm the one who deals with all the product data, the pricing, the what we bring in and what we don't bring in, and who we deal with. I view all of our debtors. I know all the customers and X, Y, and Z. So there is no underhand, we're going to help somebody else. And I do quite like this rumor of people being disappointed or worried because we're supplying their competitors. We're a manufacturer and distributor. We whoever wants to buy from us in the pest industry can buy from us. So, but there's no sort of favoritism at all. We treat Virgo, and we have done, and we still will, the same as any of our customers, whatever size you are. So
well, there we go. So
I want to allay people's fears. Don't worry, because we're not out to try and.
I know, but if I'm honest, like the problem that I have with it, and this is me personally, is within the industry, I know of at least 2 people who have told us that previously they've had Pestfix out to do surveys on gull work. Alex has gone. They've had Pestfix to do surveys for gull work, so they've taken them to site, and then when they've come back, all the gull work's been done, they've been cut out of the loop, and Pestfix have went direct to the customer, or the customers went direct to Pestfix, so they've been cut out of it. So then when you combine that with the Virgo thing, and if the directors thing is true, I'm trying to find them on you. I can find Chris, but I can't find Virgo. But I got told that you have the same directors, then it sets you worrying that you're going to be in a position where if you use them, they're like, we'll cut them out of the last one, we'll just cut them out of this one. And I'm not suggesting they would do it with everything, but on the bigger stuff where you're like, this is a meaty job, this is like my best job here. And they're like, well, actually, we know that they need bird work now, so send your sales guys round. We know what they're looking at, we know what the prices are at, go and compete with them. And that is the major worry, isn't it? When you've got a supplier and when you've got a supplier, distributor and a thing under the same banner, like it is a concern. It's got to be a concern.
I can see why people are concerned, for sure, but there is literally no link, no affiliation whatsoever. We use our Find a Pest Controller feature, so if someone does come to us directly, that is probably the only slight benefit we give to some of our customers, those that apply, and I'm inviting any of our customers can apply to be on the Find a Pest Controller, or we'll direct them to the industry trade bodies and stuff, the Find Pest Controller things. We don't ever go around to a customer to survey. Well, we will come with you if you want us to come with you to assist. We don't then kind of cut you out the loop and then sell direct. It's not something we intend to do.
But this is what I've been told. Not always happens, but has happened. And I know a couple of people who've said we'll never use them again. Like, we took them to site, and then when we went back to site, everything was installed. We spoke to the people and they said, oh, we just went direct to Pestfix, because like they didn't have to put your cut on the top. So they took them to site, they've done all the work, they're there, then got cut out of the deal. So that's not true.
Well, if the only way I can think it would happen would be that if the customer went to site and then they can buy online, they can create quoting online if they wanted to, all at retail prices. So we have two pricing structures, one being retail, so any Tom, Dick and Harry can buy almost any of our products, obviously not things that are certified, etc. So bird hardware isn't certified. So if they wanted to, they could in theory go direct either via the website. They can contact one of our sales team. So they could literally, like, those that aren't necessarily account managers, so they'll respond to a telephone call and say, right, I need this. Okay, here it is at retail price, which is significantly higher than obviously whatever price that we will, the trade price that we supply to any of the pest controllers. We will never talk to a client and say, oh, by the way, you could just buy it from us and get it done yourself, because that already means there's going to be a failed installation. Bird work has to be done by the trained professional. If someone goes and does it themselves, they're going to have a shoddy job. And we wouldn't want that on our hands, them coming to us directly and saying, oh, well, yeah, it kind of didn't work because we used a roofing contractor to come and install a load of bird netting. Well,
but this is the worry.
I can see why people are worried, but then you could be worried about a lot of stuff, the what ifs. I will tell you, and I'm telling you honestly, there's no...
As a pest controller, if I deal with one of the suppliers who do not supply to the public, then I don't have that worry, do I?
No, I suppose not. But then everyone's coming into an industry. It's not, we can't just, if you close everything off to everybody else, you're not going to let then the public kind of, okay, I see this is going to cost me a lot of money, and okay, this is a really involved thing to do. I should be getting a professional. People are going to try and DIY, but if they're spending hundreds of thousands on roofing-based netting structures, it's up to them if they want to have something that fails. We will always direct them to a professional. All of our instructions say, if you want to do bird netting, you need to use a trained professional. That's why we do
I think it was the audio stuff we're talking about. The two firms I spoke to said it was audio stuff. So they went in, they pointed out, they said, oh, we'll put an audio here, we'll put an audio there, bird scarer, or scarecrow, whatever it is. And then when they come back, they're up shouting their heads off. They're like, what? I thought they're like, oh, we just went direct because we didn't put your, that was the thing. But Niall, that being said, I don't want to labour it because I think it is a little bit unfair on you, and we'll have to have a bit of balance. And Niall raises a very good point. Is there much difference between Virgo Pestfix and Deadline Rent-A-Kill? Isn't it the same principle?
I mean,
Probably.
Rent-A-Kill do work. We don't. I don't know. Obviously, I don't. To be fair, I don't know the true relationship between Deadline and Rent-A-Kill. Obviously, Deadline is a brand of items.
Yeah,
I
no,
believe
no,
they are owned by
Rent-A-Kill
Rent-A-Kill,
own
but
them.
we are 100%
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah, Rent-A-Kill own them.
Yeah, so Virgo don't own us. We have no affiliation with Virgo whatsoever. Our managing director goes directly to the board in Norway, does not speak to the directors in Virgo. It's, yeah, I can keep going round and round, but I'm telling you now, and I tell you, I do all the marketing and everything else that goes with it, so I know who we deal with and who we don't do.
So one of your, not to beat you up on this, but
No,
Adam
Dudek, it's fine.
Yeah, Adam Dudek is the secretary for Virgo, and he is the director for Pestfix. Oh, he's down as that. And Sven Stolin is the director of Pestfix and the director of Virgo. So I was right.
He doesn't have any impact on Pestfix whatsoever.
Sven Stolin. Well, he's a director. Ian Poppelman, yeah. That being said, I don't think it makes much of a difference. It is what it is, isn't it? And like, I think when you've got customers, they'll either use you because they see the value or they won't they? That's the reality of it.
And it'll be a real shame if any people feel like that they don't want to work with us for something like this. I mean, we pride ourselves in our customer service. We pride ourselves in the fact that because of our customer service and the work we do, that's why our customers work with us and we retain them for long periods of time. And I think the only benefit we get out of it is that we've now got an investment pocket, whereas before we didn't. So there's loads of stuff coming over the next couple of months, which we've now been able to finally, it's been slow before, but now we're really able to push it out. So there'll be loads of great things for everybody with no person or company getting anything preferential. You're a pest controller, you get trade.
Let's take this back a little bit. Let's just take a breath. And
Needed it. Needed to do that. It just seemed to roll that way.
That snowballed, did it not? But with this, because we've kind of started. We're talking about the end. What I'd like to do just very quickly, because you've alluded to this beforehand, which is you've been with Pestfix for 9 years. Pestfix has been around for a lot longer. So, and we'll probably touch on this as you tell your story. But most people only really became aware of Pestfix during COVID, during the PPE thing, and that will be.
We're not even going to go down that.
Before that, I know, because I went to go and visit both Dan and Matt many years ago when it was literally Pestfix was a single warehouse in a boatyard in Chichester, which just had, just a warehouse full of nets and spikes. And that was it. It was just nothing but birds, and it was, just a very small thing. So with that, can you just tell us the story, which will include the aforementioned, the journey from that one little warehouse with two guys, and I think it was 2 or 3 of you. You were there, very much from the early doors, and a couple of others as well, through to where you are now, which is a company which is you own 2 of those. You've moved, you're still in Chichester, but you have one mega warehouse, and you actually own the warehouse next door as well, don't you, which is currently sublet, and now you are owned by a multinational shareholder group which owns, as you say, 39 other ventures ranging from pest management to facilities management. So start us at the beginning. I mean, how did that go?
So just about pre-me, Dan and Matt England were the 2 originals, so being the directors. Dan was a bird work specialist in terms of pest control as an active business. So he went out and did bird work. His brother was a website designer and some sort of coding-based stuff, internety stuff. And it started because Dan struggled to find pest control supplies as a single business owner without any employees with him to actually be competitive. So he felt like he was priced out because all of the big names, because they had big money and big pockets and they bought a lot, they got everything cheaper. So he got fed up and he got together with his brother. They made the website. So this was 2002 is technically our first incorporation date. So we've gone past our 20 years.
Yeah.
It was 2015 when I came in. So once they put this together, they created like a custom system, websites, and primarily aimed at bird work because Dan knew his field well, and he didn't want other small business enterprises to be priced out. So I'm going to start getting these products, getting these products in and available to anyone around the UK who wants to then try and do without having the material costs outweighing them. I came in 2014 or 15. So that was at the point where Dan decided, because at this point he was still doing some of the contracts that he still had going in the local areas, just because regular contracts and regular customers expected him to be carrying on. He tried to move a lot of them quite quickly, but so he decided to close that down and really invest in Pestfix as a distributor and manufacturer. At that point, they needed someone else to help, because it just started to grow, because see, the small business enterprise was like, this is actually really helping us, particularly those in the bird specialist field. It then started snowballing because I was able to respond to a lot, and it just kind of went from strength to strength for the next, 5 years. So then we started bringing in salespeople to actually be able to go out to our customers and really actually have these conversations, instead of just being right on where we are. Is a terrible place, really, because we have the sea at the bottom and then the rest of the UK. Yeah, so that happened. More warehouse team, and we were bulging at the seams, and we were on a little boatyard. We were in a little marina in Littlehampton. We had one little warehouse, and we thought, oh, this isn't big enough. So we kind of went into two sort of warehouses, and we were, by the time it hit COVID, it got to a point where we didn't have enough space for our staff. So we all had to kind of say, right, you're coming in on Tuesday, I'm using your desk Wednesday. Let's kind of figure it out. You do some work from home here. It was a nightmare. So before COVID happened, we prepared to invest in this new business development in Chichester. So we started doing that, getting ready to kind of move into there. We knew it was going to take a good 2 or 3 years because it was a new build. COVID hit. Dan, the PPE scandal, I'll give you my story. I say my story, the truth behind everything, from my perspective anyway, is Dan filled in an application form, and I saw the application. It's literally an online sheet. I saw it, filled it in. It was like effectively the government's appeal of saying, right, does anyone know? Have you got sources for PPE? Because obviously the demand was high and all the whole what could happen during COVID. I don't know what happened with the application. I can't answer that. I'm not privy to seeing what happens on in government and whatever. We received, we went through kind of ratification, and because Dan, his wife, so his brother-in-law, is part of a healthcare manufacturing area in Singapore. So because of these links, we were able to say, look, we can get this out. We're able to direct a factory in a way that will help you, help us streamline and get past some of the kind of the hurdles where everyone's kind of fighting over who gets the PPE. From that point, Dan England, we barely saw him. He slept on the floor in the office some nights because he was on Shanghai hours trying to navigate. And we were, I don't know, I've seen the flight plans and everything. We were getting I think it's BA flights, or is it EasyJet flights? I can't remember. We were getting some named flights, passenger flights, just to fill with PPE to bring over to the UK because of the backlog.
I saw the pictures of that. You had boxes of PPE literally strapped into passenger seats to get it over.
Yeah, exactly that. Everything was backlogged, and I remember seeing videos of the customs areas in the export areas of in Shanghai at the shipping warehouses that just filled with everyone's produce wanting to get out but not being able to because there was obviously such a huge demand. So that happened. I barely saw Dan and Matt during this. this was actually at the point, because we were investing right before, the timing of it was terrible really with COVID and everything, but because we'd gone into this investment, into this new build, this is when they brought Terry Burrows in, because that was it, before COVID. They decided, right, we're taking this step back, we're going to have this new big building, we're going to get this new MD in, get this place growing so we can take a step back. Unfortunately, they decided to fill in an application form, and then they didn't get to take a step back. Well, they did from the main running of Pestfix, but they were forced to stick with PPE. So that all happened. I don't know how far people have actually read. We put out statements. We were then later, the Good Law Project decided they wanted to sue the government and sue us for the misleading way of us not being part of a standard contracting procedure, because obviously the timescale of it. All the very, very expensive lawyers and everything. We had a statement that went out. I'd say go, if you want to go back and read it, I'm sure it's still on our newsfeed somewhere, but obviously that was a long time ago. And yeah, then COVID finished, thankfully, for everybody. We spent a long time during COVID really trying to support the pesties, because we wanted to help PPCA, obviously, with the whole pesties being key workers, the status that we needed, and with the change in pest behavior, and we noticed a huge change in pest behavior, particularly with all the restaurants closing down. So we got a lot of people trying to contact us and trying to deal with DIY pest control themselves, because they couldn't find locals that were still running or were comfortable or able to deal with either what they were doing. So we had a lot of calls for that, and again, still directing to the professionals who were still trying to run, and we obviously wanted to support people through COVID for that. Then in 2018, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 22, 2022, I think. No, wait, it was 21. Oh my God, it's been that long. We moved to Chichester, the big warehouse, and we did our Pestfix Unlocked. So I decided, because of all this whole government PPE thing, you know what? Come and see us. Actually come and talk to us. We had MD Terry Burrows everyone who came to that has an opportunity to sit down with Terry Burrows, MD, and ask these questions. Not many people did, but it was a fantastic training session for everybody. We do hope to put another one of those on, but it was great for people to actually come and see us and kind of prove that as a pest business, we are not this PPE thing that was Dan and Matt. I mean, they're obviously no longer with us now. And since the move and the ability to actually be able to hold more stock, we've invested a lot and supported our pesties since there. And I think 39% growth every year at the moment for us. And that's based on trying to support you as a pest business, and with our free training schemes with the BPCA and other kind of areas here, left, right, and centre. We're trying to kind of help the pesties kind of. Yeah.
How does that work with the BPCA, the free training schemes? I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so we spoke to the BPCA. We have also spoken to the MPTA, but the BPCA, we had discussions with them and saying they were actively going out asking about member benefits. They wanted to improve the member benefits that they offer. So they've obviously got bits and bobs that they already do. And we said, you know what? Let's take this a step further. We want professionalism in the industry. We know that those who train are better pest controllers. Those who keep up with their training do better pest control and thrive better as a business. And we wanted to kind of weed out those that do a sort of okay job but don't really try. And we decided, you know what, giving people this free training, this is a kind of a barrier, a cost. Let's get rid of that cost. So we offer any BPCA member 6 free training days every year. So that is, you can redeem a training day for, say, one employee for 1 day training. And that's 80% of our courses. We were working with the BPCA as well to make sure that we were offering courses that involved practical work. So you have hands-on work, not just sitting behind a spreadsheet or presentation. I'll get to the MPTA question in a second here. And we were obviously wanted to make sure that every course that you can redeem on is at least half of your annual CPD points, with both either basis prompt or BPCA registered. They involve the practical work, and you can redeem 6 days a year, and that renews every single year. So you can send 6 of your techs or whoever you are as part of your business to one training day, one event. You can send one of your team to 6 different courses throughout the year. You can pick and choose what you like. The only thing that you can't redeem it on is the RSPH level 2, just because it is the RSPH level 2. There are costs involved with it, examinations and things, obviously, that we have to pay for papers and everything else. We do a subsidizing on the RSPH safe use for rodenticides. So you effectively just have to pay for the exam for that one. So if you've got new techs coming in and you just that extra cost of you trying to get them qualified for using rodenticides, we're kind of subsidizing on that as well. So we're working positively to try and improve the pest industry. We also offer what's called the BPC 8, which is core products that we were talking with the BPCA about. So regular things that you use in pest control, you can get 8% discount as a sort of reward for you constantly renewing your training CPD every year, whether it's with us or anyone else. You are renewing your membership, so you are actively trying to be a professional. Well, I say trying to be a professional more so than some others might. Not saying obviously anyone who isn't part of a trade association isn't a professional, but you can see by numbers people who are renewing their training. You can see that they've been accredited, they've got certain qualifications, they are audited, etc., etc. The NPTA, we have gone to the NPTA multiple times. We do every year, and we keep doing so. We have done this scheme with the BPCA at their approval. So we wouldn't go up, we've gone up to the NPTA and we said, right, we want to offer the exact same as we do to the BPCA Trade Association, because we want these professionals to have more training, to get better, to do that CPD without having the barrier of cost. But it's been, I won't say rejected by the NPTA as such. It's been sort of, we'll put it to the board, is the like kind of the last email we had. And then we chase. So how did it go? How did it go? Have we got it? Can we want your stamp of approval before we start doing anything for your members. We don't want to obviously rock the boat and make things that people aren't happy with. So though we would love, and we do try, and we will every year talk to the leaders of the NPTA, that's the difference. So that's why we do our BPCA members. We're not actively trying to not do NPTA members and favouring one association over the other. It's just we haven't got the stamp of approval from the NPTA. That's simple.
Did they ever give you a reason why they wouldn't give you the stamp?
Nope.
Just wouldn't do it.
It's been it got to a point where we got just white noise, nothing back, silence. Whether it was by emailing or LinkedIn messages, whether or not we are contacting them at the wrong time, they're too busy, or they're ignoring. I don't know the answer. I don't know what their plans are and what they want. I don't know. They haven't said, they haven't rejected. There's no official rejection, but there is a lack of, yes, all we want is a, yeah, that would be great for our members. So great, we'll carry on and do that for you guys. So
we heard it there. We've had Graham on this before, and I'm relatively certain that Steve does listen to this, because he has dropped hints before about other podcasts that we've done in conversations. So Graham, Steve, if you're listening, all it takes is just one little email. Anna, I imagine.
Mollins, yeah, I mean, I've sent emails to Steve. Certainly, I know that respect, and so is our MD Terry.
Trying to think logically why a trade association wouldn't get it. It's easy for us to say like that old balance thing, isn't it? Because I'm in the MPT and having available discounts has got to be a good thing, hasn't it? But then you stand there and you think, what is? I would love to be on one of them board meetings and listen to it. I bet you'd be proper interested, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I see. I don't know. I know obviously certain people are related to other pest industries, different companies, and other M&D type businesses. So
when you say that, are you telling us that there's already some sort of synergy that you'll be stepping on toes, and that's why we're not getting it? Is that what we are alluding to?
I have no idea. I do not know. I can pull random thoughts out of my mind and put two and two together and make six. You know, I don't. It's silent, so I don't know the answer to it. And we would love to obviously support those professionals that are continuing to be professionals. And all of our training comes with free lunches as well. So you get fed too.
Who can say no to a free meal at the end
Oh,
of
and
the
you get
day?
more discount as well. If you come in store, you can come and have a look around our trade store. We've got a really nice kind of open frontage to our building, so you can come in and have a browse and get even more discount because you've come in on the day to do some work. Because I know for some it's quite a journey, but Elaine's
Get
training
nice.
is fantastic. It's I review her responses, her anonymous feedback forms, and everything is just 5-star. So I'm very proud of Elaine. I think she should be proud of herself too. She was a really good member of our sales team, but we decided, you know what, she can become full-time doing this technical training because of her skills and her personability.
So how many people do you have working for Pestfix now? Because of course you've mentioned the England brothers are going, and there's Elaine. There's who's there still? How many
Okay.
people?
There's been a lot of rotation of people just because obviously we moved and the business is bigger than what it used to be. So there's been changes for sure, but we're now at 26 staff members, I believe. So although it is increasing quite dramatically this year, just because we now have the investment, we have more stock coming in. So we're able to then send more out and just deal with the volume. Just because the 39% growth for kind of it's a lovely growth, but we need to make sure we're doing that in staff as well. In terms of names you might know from the past, if you ever knew Pestfix, I'm the oldest serving member, still here. Elaine, she was actually my mat leave. And then we kept her on because we grew. So when I came back off mat leave, it was like, yeah, can you stay? Like, all right. And in terms of, I mean, Terry's been going on now since obviously COVID times. We've got lots of people that have all come from the industry, but we have quite a few people who've not been part of the pest control industry at all and have come in and they're loving it. And I think we're just drawing in more people come into our industry and stay. And then you'll imagine you'll see, say, when we go to our trade shows and stuff, quite a few try to come along to them. So you get to see them and you'll hear a lot of the regulars on the phone. Every one of our pest customers, every single one has an account manager allocated to them. So they will hear the regular names, and certain people will have certain people that they work with. And every one of our team is very different, I think, which is quite nice. So yeah.
So, I mean, do you have regional salespeople? I never know. I know the guys in the office, but do you have, because most of the other distributors will have someone dotted out in the north and someone have dotted in the south and west. Do you do that?
No, we don't. We did before we went for the new expansion. So pre-COVID, we did have a couple in Maidstone. We had a few there, but we found that we couldn't support it just wasn't working in terms of us supporting them as what they needed for us. We found that they didn't want us to come and visit them and talk to them about X, Y, and Z. It's like, so we go to people when they want us to go. So if they've got a survey they want assisting on, if they're not quite sure about something and they don't feel comfortable with the technical side of it, particularly when it comes to things like bird lasers and stuff, we will come and support. We'll go on surveys, we'll visit you, we'll go to the trade associations to try and talk to, but we don't have set regions for our certain people because I don't think it's very fair, I think, to have one person deal with those customers. I think it would be better for the customers to not pick, but you come to have a rapport with certain team members in Pestfix, and that's not defined by a region. So no, we don't have people that work in particular regions at all. It is you choose who you want to deal with in Pestfix, and we will then continue to keep that rapport going.
Feel like I've opened up a can of worms there. I was just interested to know who was in my patch. But that's
it's who you want. You'll always see a lot of our sales team are tagged in all of our LinkedIn posts. So if you go around, you can have a snoop on LinkedIn and pick who you like, and then you can start giving
pick
them a
the
call.
one you want. Pick your sales team. That's it. Like a pack of jelly babies. You get to pick which one you like, and there we go.
But what I do like about our sales team, and it's very important to us, is that every single person in our sales team is trained to RSPH level 2 or higher, so that they can actually speak to the pest industry properly. and be able to answer. So a lot of them obviously have specialisms as well. So we kind of focus certain areas, but every single one of them, you're not just going to get some random sales donkey on the phone. That's not fair. So very proud of that still.
All good. Right, Sean, you look as though you're chewing wasps there. What are you thinking?
No, I'm just thinking it's very easy to sit and be critical or look at the negatives, but we've tried to grow a little bit, so to get from there to like 26 members of staff, it's a fucking phenomenal achievement. Phenomenal. And it's easy to cast aspersions over the PPE stuff and all that, but the truth is, like, if you're there and you're brave and you see that opportunity, like, it's only the very bravest of people who will stick their neck out. And sometimes the big decisions pay off, and sometimes they shoot you in the foot, don't they? And I just think it's obviously been a lot of hard work that's went into it. And I like to sit and listen to companies' growths, because then you think, well, it makes you reflect on the good and bad decisions you've made in your own business. It certainly does for me. Maybe I over-examine stuff. I don't know, but there's certainly some learning there, isn't there? And then my little brain absolutely is bouncing about why the MPTA haven't accepted it. You sit there and you think, we're never going to find out, are we? That's the reality of it. And I guess that's the impact, isn't it?
We talked. So anytime I see this on the chats and in the socials, I do say, okay, ask them, please. If you want to push it, then it's you guys that need to push it. But I'm very proud of our team.
Bigger the risk, bigger the reward. And sometimes, we've certainly taken decisions that if they hadn't have paid off, we would have been slaughtered for. So it is what it is, isn't it? And weren't doing anything for that.
Yeah, those customers have, and a lot of customers have come through through all of it, and we have not changed as a company in terms of our customer service levels, our personability, and we do push the boat where we can. We don't do things by the norm, and then that I think is quite a thing across the industry. Everyone's sort of set in certain ways, and we're like, well, why is it done like this? Like, I think my favorite one is when we had, I've now got 2 children, by the way. So if I'm distracted, my children have just come back from a lovely trip out for someone's birthday. They will just peer in, or they won't, hover and just be very distracting flies. I can't even remember where I was going with that. What was I going? Oh yes, we've come through from one end to the other, and I can't think now.
We can just about hear them sort of like chittering in the background, like little birds. So there we go, absolute terrors. Hello guys, I'm sure you can...
If you're going to bed anyway, they've probably come back and had Sundays at the Harvester, no doubt. So we're proud of our company, we're proud of how we've grown, and we're proud of how our ethos has remained as such. Our customer service levels have remained as such. The responses we get from our customers, that's why we run. And we have a lot of people, and I think you'll see a lot in the reviews over the last few years, how people don't think, we're not going to use Pestfix because of this stigma behind us. They use us because they have no other alternative. And then they go, I didn't realize that this was possible from a supplier and a manufacturer and everything like this. Like, we don't get this from all of our others. Hi, we've been here the whole time, and that's why we're growing, I think, and that's important. I remember where I was going earlier. It was the against the norms, and my favorite one, I still remember this, was when we started investing in true manufacturing of our own products. There was one of the rodent products that came out, and we brought it out at a very low price, not because we were making losses or anything like that on it. We just thought, why is this price so high? And we did have a bit of a kickback from offering something at such a low price. And it's like, well, this isn't the way it's done. Why? So I think in terms of Pestfix, and particularly with our fantastic MD Terry, he will go, well, hold on a second. It's not fair. Let's do this fair for everybody, and kind of go that way. Why do things how they should always be? Why not let's do things that make others flourish? So you guys flourish, we flourish. It's kind of a simple thing, really.
Well, with that, and we've got 5 minutes left of our scheduled booking here. You kind of alluded to, and I think those with sharp ears would have heard you say it at the beginning, that there are some big things coming. Is there anything that you can share with that? So you've talked about your 39% year on year growth. You've talked about bringing it back for the pesties and the rest of it. So where is that 39% going? What's going to be next year's? Where's that investment going to go?
So pretty much what we've been doing over the last 3 or 4 years is becoming more of a manufacturer than a distributor. Obviously, we did also, the bird work was always our strong point, and it always will be. We are the specialists. If you don't know what you're doing, come to us. We've got multiple free courses if you're BPTA members, hopefully MPTAs too. But it's breaking into the rodenticide, the insect control, all of it. These industries that obviously are still core aspects of the pest control world. So we are bringing more in terms of the manufacturing side on that. That's kind of where we're going, and we're investing all of our money into stock so that we can provide customers with stock you will probably know, similar things, very pretty much the same, or they are actually the same from the direct suppliers, so that we can bring them to you guys and say, this is how much it's costing you, and you go, is that right? And we'll go, yes it is. And I'm do a lot of the background work with regards to our administration, the products themselves, how they appear on our website, how the pricing that goes behind them, all these sort of links and structures. So I am firsthand seeing everything that's going to be happening. So over the next 6 months, you'll probably find that this whole, but Pestfix is really expensive, isn't it? No, it's not. So that's kind of where we're going. We're investing all of our money and space. So you were saying about us owning this collection of warehousing. We're in it now. We've only got one little unit left at the end.
What happened to the little sports store at the end? Where did they go?
It's the Academy of Gym. My daughter actually does the gymnastics there, so they're nice, so they can stay for a while, assuming obviously this 36% year on year growth doesn't continue rolling so fast, and then we might have to ask them to move out. But yeah, so that's what we're investing in: new stock, new products that you can use, developments and sort of advancements, but mostly aiming around being the core. So it's not a case of bringing out some fancy new, oh look, this bait station now has this doohickey that sticks out of it that makes it that little bit better. It's more about, these are the core products that you guys use day on, day out, and this is how we're going to help you reduce your material costs, but maintain your professionalism.
So when you say manufacture, and I'm going to dig down in this, do you mean manufacture of bird control work, or are you moving into rodenticides or insecticides, or dare I add, are you going to make your own range of ultrasonic repellers? I mean, what are we looking at?
No. So we were already manufacturers of bird control products, which is why I don't think I've seen anywhere that is as good value for money when it comes to bird control hardware, and also the amount that the range of things that you can utilize, plus the skills that go with it as well, and the information that we can give you. So that was always a big one for us, that kind of gave us a foundation. It is now the core the rodent control. I'm not going to say just rodenticides. Rodenticides is one. I mean, we brought out some rodenticide a couple of years ago, but it's more than just the chemicals. The businesses, pest control businesses, aren't run on rodenticides, insecticides, and well, bird control is on one side, but it's not just chemicals. It is everything else that you use in your business. So we have a lot of hardware and tools and things that you often go to Screwfix for, not realizing that you're kind of spending quite a lot of money on it when you can get it from someone like us on your standard credit account, and then be able to actually utilize more that supports your business beyond the chemicals.
So basically what you're saying is you're wanting to become a one-stop shop for everything from your DeWalt to your, difascinone.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we do a lot. We do obviously the shooting accessories. We work very closely with a local local firm. I believe we're going into the falconry ranges as well. So all the consumables that you need day on, day out, so that you can then consolidate what you need into a business that can offer you long-term credit facilities as well. So I know that a lot of people are going out having to pay up front for this, that, and the other, but you aren't getting payment from your customers for at least sometimes 60 to 90 days. And that can be quite hard for cash flow for a business. So we want to be able to support people in that respect by offering what they can have and what they need to keep the business going day in, day out, and also offering it next day. So that is one of those things that you get a job and they ring up and they go, right, can you come tomorrow? Yeah, that's fine, I can come. Oh, damn it, I didn't look at my van. Pestfix, can you get it out? Yep, it's before 5 o'clock. I'll get it to you for tomorrow morning. It's fine. We'll get it sorted so that you can keep going.
I mean, that's that. We usually ask for a shameless plug at the end, but I think you've absolutely hit that one on the head there. I think you've absolutely nailed that.
I
It's
somehow not ended up talking about any of the social media marketing support that I wanted to. I say I wanted to. I was expecting to. So maybe another time.
Oh, it's the way with these podcasts. All the way is did we end up sort of like tumbling down a rabbit hole of something? So, but I think a lot of people will be pleased that we will have put some of these bugbears to rest. Like the Tyro Group buyout, the PPE, and it's nice to hear that you've got some plans for the future. I'm interested to see where what avenues the manufacturing takes, because that's, I think, as everyone knows, that the technical and manufacturing is very much in my blood. So I always like to hear about those kinds of things. So from there,
I mean, when it comes to anything that you've got, if you hear rumors or want to know, we are happy to take any phone calls. We've been inviting people to call us. So if you do want to talk about it, we will happily talk about it openly and honestly. And obviously our team all work on based on like a hunt group. So if you don't get to the first person answering, it's going to be one of the sales team members and they will be able to talk to you. So it's not even like you have to only be talking to one particular person. We all know what we're talking about in this team, and we know that we are happy, comfortable, and knowing that we are not related to Virgo.
Other than the fact that you are,
we're not mentioning that again, are
we?
Just want to those who are listening in now, just kind of really bed that down, just so you just.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Tyro Group will continue to expand. It'll be interesting to see what their game is. And I actually think in pest management at the moment we're in a really exciting time. Away from that, but there are several very big investment companies around the UK and Europe who are just snaffling up both intellectual property and also companies as well. It's not just Tyro Group, there's several of them out there. I think the whole landscape of pest management is going to change. And I don't think there's probably half the people in the podcast listening to this will have probably been approached by one of the big five servicing companies over the course of the last year. And if they haven't already, they will be soon, as part of an acquisition program. It's happening. It's mad. It's going to be the next 2 to 3 years, I think, are going to be really exciting for our industry to see what happens and what changes. So that's my prediction. Go on, Anna, just give us your prediction. What do you think is going to happen the next 2 to 3 years before we go on to our final question? Where do you think the industry is going to go in the next 2 to 3 years? What's going to be the big thing that changes?
It could go anywhere, and I tell you now, I'm always so focused on what we're doing and supporting everybody else that we aren't sitting here kind of we don't, or I don't go around thinking, right, we're aiming because this is going to change. It could go anywhere, and you're right, there's so much going on with regards to acquisitions. The perspective is changing on pest control, and it depends on how we kind of define it, I think. And for me, my views and my opinions is teaching the public so that they know what pest control is about. So I'm hoping that the future will be a more informed, less stereotyped pest industry, which is treated fairly and a skilled workforce that they deserve. That's what I hope for anyway.
That would be lovely. What about you, Sean? Go on. You've always got thoughts on this. What do you think is going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years?
Truthfully, I don't know. I personally believe if the big companies start buying up, I don't think it's a bad thing for the industry. I think it'll probably raise prices in the pest control. It might make it a bit harder for some of the smaller firms to exist, but you know, you're going to have to find your own little niche and do your own little thing, I guess. We certainly wouldn't look to sell. That being said, I genuinely don't believe for 1 second to come and try and buy our business. Our business does not fit their business model. So in any way, shape, or
But
form.
your customers do.
Yeah, no, we're very much more of a one-off type shop. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that they couldn't repeat. We are the product of the people who are in it rather than the customers, I think. So we don't fall into their things. But I don't know. I guess what's going to happen over the next 2 years? I think we are going to see a change in insecticide usage the same way we saw a change in rodenticide usage. And I think that will scare the living shit out of pest controllers at the bottom end. Like, will absolutely, but that will bring them to the knees faster than any acquisition of their competitors will do, because all of a sudden shit will get real very quick if that happens. You know, but let's see. I look forward to the changes, whatever they may be.
With change, with challenge comes adversity, and with adversity comes opportunity, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
You know what Darwin said? It's not the biggest and strongest who survive, but the first to adapt or the first to evolve, whatever it is. So whatever it throws at you, it's like the loss of FICAM. Like, get on with it, work it out, work out where others are struggling, work out how you're going to do it a little bit better, work out where your value is, who your customers are, and start targeting them and put some money in your pocket, and that keeps the lights on and the wheels turning, doesn't it? But you know, I'm just a big believer in value. If you add value, then you're there, aren't you? So I don't know. Here's the thing.
Sorry,
Let's have a guess now. Before you go on, let's pick a firm that we think will buy out that hasn't been bought out yet.
How do you mean?
So if you know a company that is still independent, but you think will be approached and will be bought out, who do you think that? Give us some companies that you think will be on the hit list for people wanting to buy.
You asking me, or are you asking Anna? Or are you asking the crowd?
I think we should all have a dig at who we think. Not a dig, but a guess at who we think these companies will be after. Anna, who do you think? You've got lots of companies.
It's a difficult one, because we are very much pro supporting the small enterprises, but there are a lot of the not the micro businesses. I think the micro businesses are kind of, they know what they like to do. It's those sort of on the cusp of growing, but not really getting that platform out. So I couldn't name anyone specifically, because it depends on whoever's managing that business and the director, the choice that they have to make, whether they want to keep growing or not, whether they want to not throw the towel in. That's not the kind of right phase, but it's more of a, that's that you know what, I've grown this to this point, and this is where I want to hand it over and go, you know what, I want to do something different with my life now, or I want to be part of something bigger instead of me having to hold the shoulders, what is it, the weight of the shoulder of the business on their shoulders, sort of thing. So it's a difficult one.
So Hugh's guest, Graham Pest Control, they're the big independents in Scotland, aren't they? Is that
It's interesting that Graham's gone for two Scottish pest control firms there. You know, great for those who don't know Hugh, who listen to this, our silent producer, he is in the West Country, and he considers anything north of Bristol to be the North. So the fact that he's aimed for two pest control companies based in Scotland means that this is I think this is an emotional and subliminal pushing this as far away from himself. I reckon that, you know, Guardian Pest Control, personally, they're coming for you, Hugh. They're going to come get you.
What about Contigo?
I think Contigo, maybe. I mean, they are large, but also they kind of like pride themselves on being, you know, they are growing. I don't think they would sell it because they have the opportunity to break into some of the those bits in the markets. A lot of the SMEs that I know that are, you know, that ripe stage for picking, have already been plucked. You know, there's a huge number of acquisitions going on at the moment. I think more than people actually realise. It's there is a lot of it going on. You know, I mean, I don't want to name names because they will introduce themselves, you know, under their own banners in due time. But there's a lot more of it going on than I think people realise.
Aberkill, Peter Stewart, he's coming to the end of his days, is he not? Like, I
Coming
don't
to the
think
end
Peter
of his
mind-
days. Sorry, you mean
As a
coming
pest
to the end of
controller.
his
No, as a pest controller. Peter's in charge. He's like 75, and he's got to be. But don't get us wrong, he's a determined young man. But there's got to be a few out there still ready to go, hasn't there? It'll be interesting.
I mean, if we think about it though, if we're talking about the industry and how it's almost like an aging industry, wouldn't that therefore lead to people going, you know what, I'm about ready now. I've been doing this for now and however many years. So is it perhaps that would sway it? And is that why there's so many agreed acquisitions?
This is what happens, and we've seen this. This is a cyclical event. This is not anything that's sort of like brand new. What usually happens is you will have the large servicing companies, which used to be 3 and is now 5, looking on 6, will snaffle up a load of small businesses. And then what happens when they snaffle up a load of small businesses is they get a bigger part of the market share. But as they snaffle up the small businesses, for every 5 employees, you'll have, you know, 2 or 3 that stay on. You'll have one that decides, I've had enough of this, I'm going. And you'll have another one that realizes, oh God, I'm not very good at this. I'm going to leave before someone figures it out. And so for every sort of like small business that is snaffled up, you have 2 more starting up themselves. And they are then small businesses. And the ones that do well will go from 1 employee to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And then suddenly they're a prime acquisition for the big companies. And you get this cyclical ballooning and contraction of the number of pest management companies in the UK. And it happens all of the time. And I think, as you say, there is an age-related thing because our industry predominantly, and forgive me for saying guys and gals, we come into this usually as a second career. The average age of a pest manager is mid to late 40s. There's about 10, 15 years of work in that before you are reaching an age when you do genuinely want to probably start packing it in. And at that point, it takes 10 years or so to get yourself to a business that is to sell. So yeah, people are probably very willing to sell at that point. It all works in as a bit of a perfect storm.
So we've got 3 questions, but because Anna's already had a shameless plug, I'm going to steal a shameless plug in a second.
That's great. Can I just very quickly say, and I have to say this, I am over the moon that you had the most northern bastardization of Charles Darwin that I have ever heard in my life. I mean, that was literally like someone talk to me about, the origin of species, but do it like from Newcastle. And that was just so perfect. It's when they're better like than everything else. Yes, Sean, that is exactly what the evolution of species is.
Yeah. Still, isn't it? It's not the biggest and strongest that survive, but the first to adapt.
Yeah, well, that's it. Absolutely perfect. So go on then. Hit us up with the last 3 questions. You go first because you've got your.
You go first. I'm going to steal second, so you go first this time, Alex, and I'll steal second.
Okay, so with that, have you enjoyed your time, Anna, on Beauty and the Beast? Has it been as traumatic as everyone says it's going to be, or have you had a good time?
Honestly, nothing is as traumatic as all the bad media and press that's ever been going on since I've been doing things with Pestfix. So, yeah, it's been lovely.
Just like any other day.
It is. I mean, I'm very passionate about making sure this industry is kind of healthy, happy, and protecting our toolkit and all that jazz. So anything I can do to do more is great. And also it's lovely just to actually speak to people instead of kind of hearing them through Pestfix and through sales or something else. So it's nice to have a proper chat.
Yeah, it's always good to have a chat. I like those.
The shameless plugs, obviously, Pestfix, we know all about you. So I was going to say, off the back of the last conversation, in the near future, we have Colin Harrison coming on. And he is going to come on and talk about buying pest control businesses. I forgot about that. So for anybody in the future who is thinking about that or is talking about that, have a watch, because I think Colin's quite in depth involved in it, isn't he, with anti-Cymex and buying businesses. And he's a live wire anyway, isn't he, Colin? He's wild, and I think as the.
I don't think you will. Well, it's. I was once heard him referred to as Ken Dodd on speed, and I think that's probably, the most lovely and the closest I've ever heard anyone sort of like refer to Colin. He is an absolute gentleman and a scholar. I'm really looking forward to having him on.
Yes.
So there we go. But yes, as I say, so the last question will be from me, which is, who do you want to see? If you could nominate someone to be on, and we do have some gaps coming up. I think Hugh did a bit of a post coming out, but if you could nominate or even nudge someone to sit in your chair, who would it be?
Oh my word. That's a difficult one. I'd like to see someone who will provide positive benefits to the pesky industry, but also be for fun talking. So I couldn't name names. I'm the one thing about where I am in my role, I don't actually talk one-on-one with enough people that I would like to be able to nominate somebody as such. But then, to be fair, my colleague Elaine, obviously I don't want to Pestfix it, but she's hilarious. So
She is.
I don't know.
I think she's. She once proudly told me at a Pestx that she, when it comes up to Christmas, she'll wear a different Christmas jumper every single day, like an advent calendar. So I'm sure that is absolutely. So, yeah, there we go. Because I think at the time she was wearing one with it all had LEDs and it was singing at me, and I was just like, "Sweet baby Jesus, what's that?" So there we go. Excellent stuff, Anna. Thank you ever so much for being on. People enjoyed it. You've set a lot of stories straight with this, so I think at the very least, Terry should be giving you a high five down the week for that. But with that, I mean, nothing more from me. Sean, have you anything?
Oh, I just want to say thank you to Anna. I think we've had we have quite a few guests on who come on and tell us the party political answer rather than their true feelings, and I think it's quite obvious that you've come on and told us your true feelings, and from the bottom of my heart I appreciate that more than anything, because I get bored as fuck when people tell us what the BPCA think or what, do you know what I mean? Like, you genuinely told us what's going on. Yeah. So from me, I absolutely really genuinely appreciate that, and I know that people watching it appreciate it because it always shows in the metrics. Always. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just need to ring us up or bring me up or message me or something, and I will always give you a truthful, honest response. So.
Yes, that sums it up perfectly, Rebecca Carroll. Well done, Anna. Brilliantly well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff.
No, it's nice to hear the listeners.
So wonderful stuff. So with that, that'll be a goodbye from me. And guys, I'll say goodbyes and then I'll run the credits.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast.